Why are you always filming with that camera?
So that we remember these moments are ever so fleeting. They won't last forever. One day, we'll look back at this and wish we could return, even just for a minute. I want to remember what it felt like, the warmth of these moments, the way everything felt so alive. Because years from now, when everything changes, at least we'll have this. We'll have proof that we were here and that this was living. Hey, welcome to Wild and Worthy. Welcome back to Wild and Worthy, I should say. I spent ages trying to decide what episode 2 should be about. Should be about confidence, purpose, relationships, adventure, and then it hit me. I've invited you into my life, but you don't actually even know me yet. Not really. You know what this podcast stands for, but you don't know the stories that shaped me. And honestly, I'm not sure I know me entirely either. I think that's why this podcast exists. I want you to see me figuring it out in real time. So today isn't really about giving advice, it's just me sharing 3 stories. 3 moments that completely changed the person sitting behind this microphone. Because I don't think we were defined by where we were born or what job we do. I think we're defined by the moments that quietly change us forever. So let's start with the first one. Before I get into that, I just want to ask you to bear with me today. I got some very sad news this afternoon that my dog back home in the UK has a very aggressive form of cancer. His name's Bailey. He's super cute, and if anyone that's been following me for a while probably knows Bailey. That puppy came into my life at a time when I absolutely needed him more than anything. He's had an awesome life and he's lived a really long life. He'll be 13 this year, but yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough day. But I'm still here and I'm still going to tell you my stories, and even if this just gives me a chance to think of something else for a little while, I'm okay with that. Let me have a drink for this one. I'm going to need one. So this story is about high school. Yes. I went to a pretty nice school in a place called North Berwick. I was very lucky about the school I went to. My first few years at school, I had some absolutely great times. I was part of a pretty big friendship group. However, there was the boy, and both me and another girl liked the boy, and it caused so much drama time after time until, long story short, I was ousted from said friendship group because of that situation. So I think for me, school was the first time where I learned what it was like to feel completely alone in a room full of people. I was surrounded by people constantly in high school. Like, you're in classes, teachers, just people everywhere. But yeah, I felt so unbelievably isolated. It was tough. In the later years of high school, so from I think like maybe 3rd year onwards, like I was super alone. I used to come up with excuses of all these things I had planned, like for lunchtime, where I was going to go and what I was going to do. I had no plans. I had no one to hang out with. I used to eat lunch on my own. I'd try and find somewhere to hide where no one else would see me eating lunch on my own. It was very, very, very lonely. And I did have a best friend like through earlier years of high school, but some drama got in the way, and this other girl tried her best to break up our friendship, and eventually it worked. and those two went on to become best friends. And yeah, I was just no longer part of that big group for all the reasons. Definitely not innocent in it, and who is as a teenager? But I didn't realize until very recently how much that time had shaped my whole life. Everything. With my best friend then went on to go traveling all around the world with this other girl. As they got older, that was so unbelievably painful because I still felt so alone. And I always used to think, like, what would my life look like if that was me? And I very quickly learned how to do things on my own and how to, just make fun, just being me and being myself. And I really struggled to maintain friendships, to be honest, like real friendships until the last few years. I did have some really close good friends, but wider friendships, and it wasn't until very recently that I realized that that was myself and I was sabotaging all of those relationships because I was so scared of getting hurt or just didn't trust anyone. As soon as I felt someone hurt me even the tiniest of bit, no, gone, switched off, no longer. So I'd shut you out, shut the door, and then I would wonder why I was on my own all the time. So those days just really, I guess, set a path for my future that I had no idea what was coming. So I'd watch everyone else sitting around with their friends for most of my life, laughing, planning weekends, just belonging, just fitting in, just being part of the group. And I always felt like that was not me. I felt like I was just so different from everyone else and I didn't fit in. And yeah, I just would always be wandering through life, wondering where do I fit? And could never really answer that question, to be honest. I think that's one of the reasons why I love community so much now, and why I stop and speak to people who are on their own. Why I'm happy to walk into rooms where I know no one, because these lessons have taken me to that place, which I am so unbelievably grateful for now. They have actually made me who I am. It was a tough journey, but I am so proud of who I am now, and how how I'm just able to see things from a different light. I think one of my favorite things is walking into a room where nobody knows anyone, and then you see people leave with new friends. Because I think that's because I know exactly what it feels like to wonder if you belong, and I think that's actually one of the biggest reasons why Wild and Worthy exists. Not because I want another podcast, but because I want people to feel like they've found their people. And I'm hoping that this might be a space for that. One more thing I want to add about the high school days is it was tough. It was really tough. And I know that it's really tough for a lot of people. But we don't actually have to carry that with us forever. Our story doesn't have to remain the same. We do have the ability to change it. And for me, I've changed my story. I've 100% changed my story. I am so different as a human now than I was then. I am in a completely different situation. If this was high school now, like where I am in my life, I would definitely be one of the popular girls. In the best way. Like, I am surrounded by so many amazing humans who I look at each one of them, especially my closest friends, and they could do no wrong in my eyes. I look at them and I think they're the most beautiful person in the whole entire world. I think they have the kindest heart in the whole entire world, the best soul. Any man, God, I'm joking, I think it that much. Any man that gets with them should see themselves as incredibly lucky to have the opportunity to do so. And these people are so different from each other. But that's just because I've changed my perception of what being popular means and what it means to be cool. I think being weird is the best person nowadays. Who wants to be normal? Normal's boring. My point is, just because you don't fit in one environment doesn't mean there's not a space for you out there where you will. And for me personally, I just had to keep going. I had to keep going. I had to keep growing. I had to keep experiencing all these new things until I eventually found that. And then when I found that, I had to do a lot of work with myself to show myself that actually I was playing a part in sabotaging these relationships and actively going out my way to choose to change that. And I'm so glad that I did, because I wouldn't change my best friends for the absolute world. No. And you all know who. It's funny because sometimes the moments you wish didn't happen end up being the moments that shape you forever. For me, the next one happened thousands of kilometers away, or miles if you're from the UK. Story 2. So when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time in Arizona. I would go there for the summer at times. And this was the first place where I truly felt at home and accepted, I suppose. Something about being there just felt different. I felt lighter, more myself. Life just felt bigger somehow. And it wasn't really about America. It was about how I felt when I was there. Free, curious, excited, welcomed, accepted, like all the things. I felt like anything was possible. Fast forward to now, people always ask me, why do you love America so much? Or why are you obsessed with America? And honestly, it's not just America. It's the feeling. It's driving through Yellowstone. It's watching the sunset over Montana. Listening to country music with the windows down. Walking into a tiny little bar where no one knows your name and leaving every single time with so many new friends. That's the feeling I've been chasing ever since. And maybe that's why I love country music so much. It's not so much the music, but the community that comes with it. And because of all of the things it represents. Adventure, stories, belonging. It's never really about the place. It's always been about the version of me that comes alive there. One of the main reasons for that is the honky tonks. If you haven't been to a honky tonk, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But trust me, you need to go. You need to experience it. Like literally, especially if you go somewhere where it's like all ages are welcome and you have like the grandkids dancing with the grandparents and the moms and the dads and just everyone dancing together, it being a real community thing. People just come out of the crowd and come up and ask you to dance, and then you go for a dance, they take you back to your seat, they thank you. It's just so accepting and so welcoming, in my opinion. And I think once you've experienced that feeling, it's very hard to settle for a life that doesn't make you feel alive. One of the things I absolutely love about Arizona is when I get off the plane. There was a time when you'd fly in and you'd get off using the steps rather than the like tunnel things. And I remember getting the doors opening on the plane and the heat just hitting you like you were getting hit in the face by a wall. It was so hot. And I used to, as soon as I would feel that feeling, I'd just think, I'm home. And I have family there in Arizona who have my absolute heart all the time. They've been there for me since I was very young, and they are awesome, each in their own ways, and it's definitely something we'll probably come to in more detail on here. Maybe I might even be able to convince one of them to come on this podcast with me, which I think would be pretty cool. Although trying to pin him down is an absolute nightmare, but we can but try. Yeah, it's so hard to explain, but I just love everything about it. I love the culture, and people watch the news and they think America is one version of it. And normally it's so far from it. I put a quote over one of my videos one time that said, if you want to hate America, watch the news. If you want to love America, drive across it. And I think it's so true. The amount of incredible people I have met on my travels in the States, I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah, it's my favorite place in the world, by far. Hence my love of country music and all things country and rodeos. Oh, your girl loves a rodeo. Anyone who knows me knows that. Okay, wear hats in the background, a bit of a giveaway. Yeah, but I do love all things country. People joke that I never know what I want. And to be fair, I probably haven't helped myself very much. I mean, I've worked in hospitality, an ice cream place, banking, metal trading, railway. I've started a candle business, a photography business, a clothing brand, a personal brand, and now a podcast. I've moved countries, I've changed careers, I've literally started over more times than I can count. And for years, I felt embarrassed by that. I thought everyone else had a 5-year plan. Everyone else knew exactly who they were. But I've realized something. I actually don't think changing your mind is a weakness. I think it's what happens when you're willing to keep growing. Every single version of me got me to the next version. Without the girl working in hospitality, there'd be no girl working in rail. Without the girl in rail, there'd be no Wild and Worthy. Without every wrong turn, I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you today. And honestly, I'm okay with that now. I've never really been able to sit still. I don't think I ever learned how to sit still. People have joked with me before, and they're so right, that even if you cleared my whole plate, I'd just find other things to add to it. Because that's just been a part of who I am. I think a whole bunch of that is growing and wanting to live this really fulfilled life. But I think there's also been a big part of me that's been running for a very long time, running from the quiet, running from the stillness. And that's something I'm working on now, is how to just be still and just be, literally just be, which is scary and it's hard, but we've all got to start somewhere, right? Some people are so used to it. Some people can literally just go home after work, sit down, put a face mask on, Izzy, I'm talking about you, and just chill out for the night, whereas I have so much to do every time. My list is so big, but that's because I make it that way, and I'm aware of that now, so I'm definitely working on it. However, I don't think that I'd have all the fun and exciting stories. Hopefully a lot of them will cover over this podcast over the time, but I wouldn't have those if it wasn't for my inability to sit still. I think my inability to sit still has served me very well throughout my 20s and my early 30s. I don't think I need to carry the same level into the next stages of my life. But God, I've had some fun times and I've done some crazy stuff, which gives me all these amazing memories, and I'm so grateful for them. Okay, so what I have learned. I don't think we're meant to become one person and stay that way forever. I think life comes in seasons. Sometimes we're building, Sometimes we're healing, sometimes we're grieving, sometimes we're brave, and sometimes we're completely lost. And maybe all of that is okay. Maybe the goal isn't to have life all figured out. Maybe the goal is to just keep going anyway. Just keep showing up. Day in, day out. One step at a time, as I always say. So how about we stay curious, we stay saying yes, and we keep becoming. If there's one thing that I hope you can take away from today, it's this. The stories that hurt you, the stories that embarrass you, the stories that made you question yourself, they could potentially end up being the stories that shape the best version of you. For me, it was feeling lonely and then finding places where I finally felt like I belong. It was giving myself permission to keep changing. I'd love to know, if anyone's listening, what's the one story that you think in your life has shaped you the most? I love hearing other people's stories. I think it's so interesting. I hope we can get some really cool people on here to talk with us that have really cool stories. But yeah, what's yours? What's the one story that really shaped you? Feel free to either comment it on YouTube or send me a message on Instagram. Like, I will read all of them, all probably 3 that I get. Thanks, besties. No, I really do hope that you send me something because I'd love to hear it. And actually, who knows? Maybe one day your stories will end up being part of this podcast too. That'd be so cool. I'd love that. Thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. And until I see you next time, I hope you go live a little bit wilder. Today, I'm actually going to do the opposite for once. After the day I've had, I'm just going to order a pizza, sit on the sofa, screw the diet, screw anything else, and just chill out. Cuddle Buster and Bonnie and baby Maggie to absolute death. Yeah, but just a little reminder, you're already worthy. And I mean that so much. I know it sounds cheesy, but I mean it so much. Each and every one of us are already so unbelievably worthy. So I hope you hold on to that until I see you next time. Goodbye.